6,820 pounds, the very popular Jflight 28 RLS here at Haylett RV, and I am always glad to see it back for another season. This one gives us a whole gaggle of best-in-class qualities, and that's what I want to focus on in this video, is where it is a little different because so many manufacturers make a model like this. Why would you choose the Jflight? Well, here's a quick peek with our Haylett's in a Hurry floor plan in a flash, and I'll give you some of those reasons. Things like best-in-class 2+3 year unmatched warranty, best-in-class roof construction, slide-out support, best-in-class bed size. You know, a 60 by 80 True Queen bed you don't normally get in a camper like this. This one gives us the space to spend an extended time while still being potentially in that half-ton towable or very large SUV range. It's really going to push the SUV towing capacity though, mostly because of the length more than the potential weight. It might be a little shy on door side window coverage, but I think with the huge panoramic rear window and slide windows, it more than makes up for it. And now we'll look at her in more detail. I don't think it's an accident. The Jflight series is and has been the single best-selling series of campers since 2005 and counting. They have a pretty unprecedented record out there, especially considering this is the highest volume segment of the market and most competitive. So they've found more confidence from more people, and it's for 100 little reasons. And that's what I want to point out in this video. Like, start counting up the lights in here. They have more lights per square foot than anybody else I've ever seen in this class. It is lighter and brighter in here. But lights and windows are two of the most expensive things in RV production. It's a huge cost variance. And considering when you're shopping for most RVs, most dealerships don't turn the lights on for you. It's something that most folks don't realize. So you see a $1 cheaper brand with no lights and you're going, why is it cheaper? I guess it's the same camper, we'll buy that one. Well, there's reasons for it. Kind of like the 6'9" ceiling, the taller ceiling system that you have here versus a 6.5-foot conventional height. No, they're not the only ones doing that. Catalina, a full Wildwood, does that here at Haylett RV, and it's really nice. But there's little details too. Like, we like to build these typically with the larger 15,000 BTU upgrade, by the way, on the air conditioner, really to just help give you that extra oomph. And that, in conjunction with the Jflight thermal package that we'll talk about in more detail outside, makes us very comfortable for, you know, summer camping just about anywhere, and some good extended season camp capability. The Skylight up here is another optional piece of equipment, really kind of first introduced into this segment from Jflight and later adopted by a lot of brands. What is nice though is it does have its own little kind of shade, so that if you don't want to feel like an ant under the magnifying glass, and I know we have a lot of our customers in our, you know, southwestern segments that watch us here at Haylett RV. They're like, yeah, I'd have that shade drawn all the time. Totally understand it. That's why I want you to know that it's there. We'll see the kitchen in more detail in a little bit. You might be wondering, some people go, why are there heat vents in the floor? They put them in the floor of a Jflight because this is a camper designed with a better thermal package in mind, and heat vents in the floor work vastly better than heat vents in the cabinets. I've got separate videos on that if you like some more details and info. Another quick note on their air system up here, as long as we're talking about heating and cooling. A lot of campers have air vents that can turn. Jayco also has air vents that can close, and you need a different type of air ducting system to do that. These residential return racetrack ducted systems can't do that. This gives you a little more control over your AC system, which is kind of a handy thing. Now, quick housekeeping note. We are obviously looking at the modern farmhouse decor. That's what gives us the the lighter kitchen accents and the warm accents elsewhere. Now, most of the time, the recliners that you're looking at on this model would look a little bit more like the sofa. However, due to a supplier shortage, Jayco had to temporarily source a different material for the recliners. But the thing is, I think these things look dynamite. If they hadn't told me that that wasn't the full-time intended look of the recliners, I'd have been perfectly happy with it. I think it gives it a nice accent where the recliners are different from the sofa. But keep in mind, there's a very good chance as this footage ages, as you compare it versus the date of publishing, that the recliners could change, but most of the camper won't. And that's the thing. Again, this video is here to give you a good idea of what this camper offers. It's not necessarily here to tell you, here's the exact camper you're going to see at Haylett RV. Now, we're standing at the right angle. If you see the windows on either side of those recliners, you see how there's a center beam in there because they do slide open for airflow. Every window in here slides open for airflow. You can kind of see that with a little bit of the daylight shining through. But the thing is, between the tinted windows and those really nice dark shades right there, you're going to block the sun out like crazy in this thing. Now, there's also a radiant barrier through the slide floor. We'll talk about that more when we get outside, but that is something Jayco does in all their slide outs. And think about it, this is where you're sitting. Having that extra layer of protection below you the whole time, it helps keep the air conditioner in here. And in, you know, spring, fall camping, it'll help keep the heat where you want it too. It's just an extra thing they're doing you don't find elsewhere in a lot of things. So we're a great couples camper, obviously. We've got all kinds of space. If one person wants to sit in the recliner, someone wants to sit over here and lounge, you got a neat little conversation corner. But that is an optional trifold sleeper sofa. Because one of the coolest things about this floor plan, it's one of the most comfortable campers for a couples camping scenario. But if we start over here, you see how that'll lay almost flat. Not to mention the fact that you also have the trifold hide-a-bed over here to give us some nice guest capacity. But don't forget, we also have the dinette over here, which can fold down into an extra sleeping space if need be. So it's comfortable for couples, but it's camp family capable. And I didn't do that on purpose, but I like how that sounds. What's also cool about this floor plan, this is, I think, an ideal floor plan for grandparents. And the reason I say that, if you're sitting there thinking, well, man, should we get a bunkhouse for the grandkids to come along? Or should we, you know, kind of just get something more for us? This floor plan right here gives you more sleeping space for more of those little grandkid guests than most couples camping models can even dream of doing. And don't get me, I mean, you could use this absolutely for someone other than grandparents, of course, but there's so many times I see grandparents buy a bunkhouse hoping the grandkids come, and then they don't come. Here's the thing. If the grandkids do come along, you've got all the sleeping space in the world for them. And I've spent a weekend on one of those hide-a-beds. I get along just fine. I'm a grown man. The grandkids, who don't weigh as much as me and whose bones are still bendy, they're going to get along even finer, basically. But now you're not wasting 8 foot of your camper on an occasional guest who, statistically, ladies and gentlemen, doesn't typically come along. Now, maybe your family's different. You could absolutely be that family whose grandkids come along like crazy. I get it. This could also work for, like, hey, I've got a couple teenagers. Well, chances are most people are financing a camper like this, statistically. And do you really want to finance for 12 to 15 potential years, which are available terms, not necessary terms, an RV that is only going to suit your family for 2 or 3 years? Because those teenagers, they're going to start moving out and about on their own. They're going to start discovering the opposite sex and playing all kinds of sports and all kinds of things. And, you know, very quickly, you're going to outgrow your camper. Well, after 2 or 3 years, you're not going to be at a really good financial position to swap out. And that's where a camper like this can work so well. You can use it for more than just couples camping. It can be a nice little kind of temporary sleeping solution for now and long-term sleeping solution later. Now I'm spinning us back around so that you can see all the cabinet space here. And I really want to get this opened up. And I think today I'm going to break rank. I'm going to start right here. And I wanted to start here for a few reasons. First of all, because I often forget, and secondly, to show you, Jayco is not scaling back on storage like a lot of brands have. A lot of brands have gone to bigger windows in the slide out, and don't get me wrong, bigger windows look absolutely awesome. But you lose the storage cabinet above the sofa space, and every ounce of storage counts, especially in a model like this designed for open living space. It very often lacks storage capacity. Now, this is all pocket-screwed cabinetry, so if you want to bang this thing down the road, she should hold right together, or if you load real heavy, it should be all right. Also, notice the metallic struts versus no struts or even a plastic strut, which tends to wear out a little bit faster and easier, is something designed to last longer. That's kind of the recurring trend on a lot of what we're seeing here. The command center is kind of on the side of that upper cabinet. I got the door cracked right there, so you can keep the buttons away from the little hands. Now, with this being a taller ceiling, they were able to give us a shelf in that overhead cabinet to really maximize our storage capacity. While we're over here, there is a handy little storage pocket on the face of that kitchen there, but notice the plywood drawers all the way down to the floor here. So they're full extension ball bearing glide. And the plywood box construction part is something that a lot of brands don't do. Many do, but not all of them. Notice too that they're dedicated drawers. They're not what I call drawers and doors. You don't have to open a door to get to them. They're just simple, easy, direct access. Our water heater's easy to get to for winterizing on this floor plan, and with the water heater being close to the shower and the sink, you will, especially handy for dry campers, folks, if you are waiting for that water heater to get the hot water to the shower or sink, you will waste a lot less water because it is located so close to your water usage features versus farther away on the trailer. Space for a wastebasket up there, and as we pivot around once more past the Furrion oven, that's the thing I also want to point out. It's easy to just go, oh, it's an oven, because like the Magic Chef oven looks exactly like it. Magic Chef made themselves look like a Furrion. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a good looking oven. I don't knock anybody for doing that, but cool thing on a Furrion is that sparker knob can actually light the oven, but it won't start pumping gas into the oven until it starts to detect spark. So there's a safety feature in there and a convenience feature. And the thing is, the Furrion oven costs a little bit more, but it gives you more feature and function. I kind of glossed over it, but notice that cabinet bottom to countertop backsplash back there next to that breeze window. And we have outfitted this with the optional 10.7 cubic foot 12 volt compressor fridge. It is larger in capacity. It is faster in cooling. The RV can keep the fridge on while it's traveling. The RV does not need to be level for that fridge to function properly. There are a lot of really sweet benefits to it, and it doesn't use a ton of power. Even a simple portable solar panel system and a single battery could keep that fridge running for a week or two, depending on the size of the portable panel. And then a dedicated pantry. And remember, 6'9" ceiling, 6'9" pantry, bigger storage space over here. That is something a lot of rear living room campers very often lack. And you can see they figured it out here. That's the thing. This is slightly longer, slightly heavier, slightly more expensive than a lot of rear living room travel trailers out there. But you're also getting slightly better, arguably, in just about every area of the camper. I see around the entertainment center a little bit of what I call pantry-tainment storage, but even down here, doors for easy access to the storage below the dinette kind of finish off the living space. And remember, that table is free floating too, so if you want to pivot that thing around, if you want to slide it in front of the sofa, have a little dinofa thing, you want to take it outside to the picnic table, well, you can do that too. And here's kind of what I'm talking about. You can float that table around anywhere you want, anytime you want. Obviously, it folds down into a sleeper, but it can be really neat. Like, you can sit back here and watch a movie, grab a bite to eat, sitting in your comfy chairs. You could have a little rainy day kind of puzzle space or craft space or whatever. You know, not to mention, I mean, you still have the open lounge space here. You could still sit over here. You could, if you got a little kiddo with you, you could easily use this as like almost a little play space. I don't think it would be really hard to kind of block that off to be a little bit of a pack and play. Now that I'm looking, yeah, you got a baby? A little baby? Block the front of that thing off with whatever you please. Actually, what you could do is you could fold that table down, lay it sideways. Hold on, I'm going to show. I just had an idea. This is the, we're going to call it the J play, the Jayco pack and play. And by the way, Jayco legal. If you're watching this, that's mine. You can't have it. So this is an industry first. I've never done this before, and I just kind of looked at it and went, And as I was setting it up, I thought, if you open those baggage doors, you can really scoot that table right up to it. Now, depending on the size of the kiddo, this may not be ideal. Where I think this would work is if you got a baby, one who can't really climb over stuff yet, because obviously it's not really fully enclosed. Especially with that radiant barrier down there, you throw some blankets down, could be a nice little baby den, quiet little place, maybe, keep them away from the doggos or something like that. To really make this functional for a bigger kid, you'd obviously need to do some more enclosing, but I don't know, I just kind of thought it. I think, am I crazy, guys? Leave me some feedback. Am I onto something here? Am I just nuts? Then again, I don't know. You could just always use the table for eating. Entertainment. I do want to mention real quick, they are still including a DVD slot on their entertainment system, and Jayco's are actually running HDMI wiring, which is nice. Now, you might notice there's no TV present here. This is actually a floor plan that, well, actually most Jflights, pretty much all of them, do not have a TV standard. And we have found sometimes manufacturer TV prices have crept up a little bit, where maybe aftermarket, you can actually save a few dollars and go that way. And there are still plenty of people who just go, I just want a nice open space. I just don't care about a TV. Kudos, Jayco. Thank you for still including a lock on your doors. And it throws people off like, why is a toilet paper mount a holder on the door? Because it actually becomes a very convenient space there. Now, this floor plan is just awesome for legroom around the toilet. As you can see, I took a picture of my legs stretched out around here. Similarly, with that taller ceiling, you are going to have more headroom in the shower, which once again is something I certainly appreciate. It's one of the reasons when I go camping, I actually tend to be in a Jflight. It's a more basic 264BH bunkhouse model, but Jflight nonetheless. Over here, now that is a deceptively large bathroom cabinet, and it's one of those things I just don't know the camera captures it properly. We got the triple drunken octopus boxer coat hook kind of things for towel hangers on the right side, and that is not a small sink. This is just a huge countertop, and of course you have some storage below it. And like I said, if you need some room, you can actually stand in here. You have space to get dressed. You're not going to be, you know, it's not a headbanger. I like loud music. I am that guy, but I don't like banging my head you know, to something other than music. Now, this is a really important feature I want to point out here. A 60 by 80 True Queen bed right in from the factory. Full-blown Jflights are one of the only trailers in this category that does this. There's a lot of campers you'll hear me talk about at Haylett RV that are True Queen capable, but not True Queen outfitted. And that's going to be one of your Jflight, you know, advantages there. TV hookup straight across from the bed, of course. Now, this door over here, this one is important because this will give us travel access to the bedroom, you know, when the slide is closed, because the slide will pretty much pinch the bedroom off. We'll see that in just a few minutes. Huge window over here for viewing your campsite, and that does also open for airflow. And they've recently revised the cabinetry around the bed of the full Jflights. You can see how the overhead cabinet was shifted up a little bit so that it gave you more headroom clearance. They modeled this after the Eagle HT trailers, and for the same reason. These are king capable. If you notice, there's a little bit of a gap between the side stand closet and the mattress. So they're already giving us a best-in-class bed size. But if you want to make it even bester, you can bester it up, Buster. So stupid, sorry. Quick look under the bed to look at some storage down there. You might notice as we're peeking down there, it is gas strutted, it is easy lift. There is plywood decking as well, something a little stronger for you to lay on. Now, both side stands, you might have noticed the other one had some USB outlets and a 12-volt power point. We've got household outlets over here and very CPAP friendly. And by sinking those side stands back a little bit, they've gotten that sharp point away from your arm. These are all roof solar ready. Also, that's something you're going to see in a little bit when we go up on the roof. And if you choose to add a solar package, that is where a charge controller could be mounted. So like I said, we have a direct entry bedroom door from the outside, which is dead bolted, so that if you want to get through the RV with the slide closed, you can. So question then begs, you know, how do we get to everything else? And you can just as easily slide right in that living room door and get yourself up here. You might not be watching TV in transit, but I don't know how many people really need to watch TV in transit. If you need to stop, you can get to the fridge, the pantry, all of the kitchen cabinet space. It's a, like I said, very travel-friendly or pack-em-up-friendly stop kind of model. One other thing here, and it might throw some people off because I actually usually record these segments out of order, then I kind of, you know, reorganize them. This is sort of what stuff looks like when it comes in from the factory. Just in case you're curious, they have these, you know, plastic little shipping protection covers and everything on that, and just little things that we have to take off to get it ready for you. There's always little stuff we got to do for you. And you might notice this chair, it is nice. This chair is totally out of the way. This is actually one of the things I wanted to show you, and I'm glad I turned around and remembered to do it. There are some rear living rooms where this chair, like, yes, we have to turn it to close that slide, but there's a lot of rear living rooms where you have to drag and wrestle that chair in front of the door, which basically means you got to mount and climb over the thing every time you want to get in and out. And you can obviously see we don't have that problem here. So that extra little room, this might not be the shortest length rear living room we've ever seen, but it is going to be very functional as a result. We're going to talk a little bit more about the construction of this thing as we get up to the roof, but one of the things I want to point out while we're right here is the chassis. Now, this is on a LCI built I-beam chassis, which so does pretty much everything else in this class and category. Thing is, Jayco does their own custom engineering. Like you might notice how their tongue hitch coupler looks a little bit different. And if you look over here, you can actually see how the A-frame of their camper integrates directly into the chassis. Those are not normal things. LCI actually has to reset their build line to build Jayco's chassis. They don't really like it, but Jayco says, we don't care, we're paying you. The reason they're doing that is the idea is a little bit more structural integrity by having all of that integrated versus just bolted or welded together. It also allows for a very interesting thing. Remember how I said this has a 6'9" ceiling instead of 6.5? One of the reasons for that is not that it has a taller roof, it's that it has a lower floor, which also means a lower center of towing gravity. Now, something else that is hyper uncommon in this class, and even a lot of laminated trailers don't do it, is right behind this power tongue jack, which I love that it has that easy adjust foot pad. That is just fantastic for saving wear and tear on the motor over time. But 30-pound propane tanks. Now, what will throw you off is you will see a lot of RVs out there that have 30-pound propane tank covers, but they probably, most of the time, have 20-pound tanks, or they have the option of going to 30-pound tanks. That's something Wildwood actually does. They use a 30-pound tank cover for simplicity and order management production kind of reasons, but Jflight is uncommon that they're one of the only things in this class that has the larger tank standard. Now note the windows. Again, every single window opens for airflow. They are also heavily tinted to keep the nosy neighbors and Mr. Sunshine out of the place. The slide side windows here also, again, open for airflow. It's something I want people to realize. They all open that way. Now, if we get down here, one of the only hiccups with this thing is that you can't see one of the best qualities of this camper. And that is the optional Jflight thermal package that we put on pretty much all full Jflights here at Haylett RV. So you look at it, you say, okay, the underbelly's enclosed. But a lot of travel trailers, especially in this class now, have the underbelly enclosed, even as an option. Like an SLX has the ability to enclose the underbelly, but it does not have a full thermal package like this. This starts with an enclosed underbelly. Then they force air heat it. Then they add insulation, extra insulation to the belly and the roof, not to mention the fact that there's a radiant barrier layer in the slide floor of any Jayco with a slide out, just to help keep their heat and cooling regulated a little bit better. There's extra things they do on these that you just don't find everywhere, but the problem is you can't see any of that. So I have to talk about it a little bit, and I hope you're still with us and appreciating that. Full outside utility shower here. You're gonna see a black tank flush in a minute. This is something I wish the camper that I used most of the time had. It does not have an outside shower thing, and you know, every single time I go camping, I would find some kind of use for it. So what I do is I hook up a little Y splitter off this, you know, the park spigot, and I can hose off with that if need be, like if we go swimming and I want to get the lake smell off me before I go sitting on my sofa. But the fact is that's only cold water, and it's, well, we'll say refreshing, but you know, I wouldn't mind having hot there, and that full outside shower gives us hot and cold water. We are backup camera ready. This also has the J-Smart lighting system that you haven't always seen on the Jflight family. So you see how there's those extra upper clearance lights on the rear wall here. Well, let's say we flip on that right-hand turn signal. All those extra upper lights, and then all of the lights on the right side of the trailer here will blink along with your turn signals so that other drivers have an idea what you're doing on the road. Just simple, smart, handy things like that. And it's not an accident that this is and has been the #1 selling series of travel trailers in this class since 2005 and counting. Now over here on the campsite, one of the first things that we're greeted with is just that nicely sized awning, giving us plenty of wide open patio space here. Picnic tables, lawn chairs, lawn games, lawn ornaments, whatever, you get the idea. This is also a easy tilt awning. Jayco's been using these for a couple years. Several manufacturers have. If you want to tilt the awning, let a little rainy day run off, that's all there is to it. It's just 2 fingers. Now, here's a pro tip from your Uncle Josh. I learned this one the hard way, guys, and I don't understand how I don't have a scar on my hand. Don't push up right here when you want to raise the arms back up. Grab here, grab anywhere but putting your hand here, because it seems like a logical place for it. You're going to get bit is basically what it's going to be. But That's all there is to it. If my little nerdy skinny arms and lady fingers can do it, you can too. You see the LED lighting at the base of the awning up there? Also, the speakers are mounted in the awning heads. So those speakers are pointed down toward our campsite right now instead of pointed at the neighbors, blown away with our Freebird cranked up to 11 with the Freedom Rock, brother. So we've got ourselves that extra wide entry door, which is, of course, handy as all get out. Not to mention the folding handle for easy ins, easy outs. Down here, we've optioned on the MORryde stable steps to take a lot of that wiggle jiggle out of the RV, and I think that that is a really important feature to put on this specific floor plan because these steps are so far behind the tires. It would be very easy to like seesaw bounce this floor plan pretty good if you were walking in and out, you know, and just kind of tromping around like I do, like most of us do when we're camping. We don't care, we're on vacation, right? So it'll especially because the people sitting in those back chairs, you'd get bounced around like back old daddy's Studebaker. Outside TV hookups, our best in class Goodyear Endurance radials, not quite time travel rated, but they do rate for 87 miles per hour, not the 88 miles per hour needed by the flux capacitor. Those good looking aluminum wheels with the Jaybird wheel covers there for your hubs, your Easy Lube hubs. Whew. By the way, it's early at the time of this filming. This RV got here technically slightly before we were open. I got here just about the same time, so I jumped right on it. I just haven't been caffeinated yet. Now, it's going to throw some folks off, like, why is the black flush over here? Well, because remember, the bathroom is over here, and that is the most direct route to the black tank. And at the end of the day, this is an object that needs to be functional first. It's got to look good second. It's got to work well first. That's my 2 cents on it. Maybe your opinion differs, but it makes the most sense to me there. Now, up front here, we've got our handy little boxed, random little, sink covers and cranks and things that come in this. Let me get that out of the way so that you can see a huge pass-through here. But using that box as a reference, you can easily see how much cubic foot of space we have here. And notice there is a full door on both sides of that. So it's a easy in, easy out from both sides of the camper. And that door on the opposite side is really one of those variances that I think often gets missed. Now, we talked about the J-Smart lighting, but remember, all of the lights, tails, markers, everything are LED. LED lights flash just like 5 milliseconds faster than incandescent. That sounds really like nothing, right? But when you're moving at highway speeds, LED lights will give the person behind you, in terms of your stoplights, 5 foot of additional stopping time as compared to incandescent. And notice how Jayco top seals everything to help keep the water out of there. There's a lot of good RVs. They all do good things. And it's those kind of fine details that separate them. Because as we're about to talk about with the construction, sometimes the construction on these things, even across different brands, can be eerily similar, although Jayco does do a few things that you don't typically find in this segment. So I was talking about some construction differences, like right there you see a couple Wildwoods, but we could also talk about Catalinas and Cherokees here at Haylett RV in this equation. Also, on the pass-through, just a nice little, look at the awning. I like that color gradient on it. But anyway, construction. All 4 of the trailers I mentioned, Cherokee, Wildwood, Catalina, Jflight. If we talk about the general construction, we have a 3/8 fully walkable roof deck, 16-inch on-center average roof studs, wall studs, 12-inch on-center floor studs, and 5/8 tongue groove plywood flooring. They all have that same general outline. So what's different about these? Well, these Jflights, even here on like this older used one, they have a 5/8 tongue and groove plywood roof decking. They have a little bit heavier roof trusses. And what some things like that add up to is a roof that is rated for like 50% more weight than anybody else in this class. And that's an awesome feature. This is basically the same roof construction you get in their luxury fifth wheels that carry a full-time RV warranty. Now there's also little details, and I can't really, this is dangerous, I don't want to get too close to the edge of the camper, but above, yeah, I'm not going to get this, above the slide out, on the sidewall of the RV, is the header beam. That is the support for the slide out. Jayco's use a thicker 8-inch micro-laminated header beam. And I know that this is very boring, very dry stuff, and hopefully the visual aids are helping you here. But They also extended out further past the slide-out opening. What that means is a stronger structure so that you don't have something, you know, sagging, wavering, getting weak over time. And don't get me wrong, like, if we go back to that, you know, the Wildwood, the Cherokee, the Catalina, their roofing could be rated for like 2,800 pounds. That's plenty, I think. But your Jayco's like that White Hawk right there. Same thing, Magnum Truss roof, like 4,200 to 4,800 pound rating on them. Jayco's just have the highest roof load rating. It's one of the reasons they are rarely the dollar cheapest and pound lightest RVs out there. They are something made for long-term use and ownership. That's the idea behind them. First class and built to last. So if that kind of sounds like the fit you're looking for, give us a call here at Haylett RV. We only do hitching pieces, parts, trades, finance, truck and trailer package deals, RV delivery, and everything in between. So I appreciate you watching, folks. Please be sure to subscribe and enable notifications so you can keep in touch when we get the new ones in. And as always, take care, stay safe, have fun, and happy camping, everyone.